Deep in the Amazon rainforest, where modern satellites still can't pierce the canopy, ancient secrets wait. Geoglyphs bigger than football stadiums carved into earth that was supposed to be pristine wilderness. Stone spheres perfectly round as marbles, but weighing 15 tons. Terra preta, soil so rich it shouldn't exist naturally, but covers areas the size of France. Roads straight as rulers, cutting through jungle that predates the Inca by centuries. These aren't legends whispered around campfires. These are physical mysteries that make scientists rewrite textbooks about what was possible in the ancient Americas. What did they build? How did they move stones without wheels? Why did they abandon cities that fed millions? If you value documented archaeological history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Smithsonian Institution and Nature Journal. Now back to the story. You're flying over Acre State in western Brazil, year 2005. Below the tree line, something impossible emerges. Perfect geometric shapes cut into red earth. Circles 450 feet across. Squares with sides running exactly northeast to south. Rectangles aligned to cardinal points with precision that would make a surveyor sweat. The pilot banks left and more appear. Dozens, then hundreds. Alturanzi first spotted them from small aircraft, but it took decades to map what was hidden below. When loggers cleared sections of rainforest, the shapes revealed themselves, not random clearings, engineered earthworks. The locals called them geoglyphs, but that word doesn't capture what you're seeing. These are massive geometric figures dug into jungle floor across an area larger than Illinois. Here's what makes your skin crawl. Radiocarbon dating puts the oldest at 2,000 years before Columbus set foot in the Caribbean. The newest were abandoned around 600 years ago. For over a millennium, people moved millions of cubic yards of earth to create patterns only visible from above, without metal tools, without wheels, without beasts of burden. The Fazenda Colorada geoglyph sits 30 miles east of Rio Branco. It's a perfect square, each side measuring 690 feet. The ditches are 13 feet deep and 65 feet wide. That's 120,000 cubic yards of earth moved by hand. The math is brutal. If 50 people worked full-time, it would take them 3 years just to dig one square. But here's where it gets strange. Soil analysis shows these people didn't live in the geoglyphs. No pottery shards, no food waste, no hearths. The earthworks were built, used for something, then abandoned clean. What requires that much effort but leaves no trace of daily life? Denise Schahn from the Federal University of Para spent 15 years mapping the Acre geoglyphs. Her team found 450 separate sites across 38,000 square miles, each one precisely geometric, each one empty of domestic debris. The numbers don't lie. But they don't explain anything either. The strangest part, these weren't cleared from virgin forest. Soil cores show the ancient builders managed the forest itself, creating parkland between the earthworks. They planted Brazil nut trees in rows. They cultivated palms for hearts and fruit. They turned 60,000 square miles of Amazon into a managed landscape that looked natural from the ground, but revealed its secrets from the sky. Carbon samples from the earthwork edges date to between 300 and 1800 years ago. That puts construction during the peak of the Roman Empire on one end, and the rise of the Inca on the other. While Europe was fighting over kingdoms, Amazon peoples were reshaping the landscape on a continental scale. 500 miles northeast, near Santarém on the Amazon River. Another mystery waits in the ground. Monte Alegre was supposed to be a natural hill rising from the floodplain. Then archaeologists started digging. Anna Roosevelt from the University of Illinois led excavations in 1991 that changed everything. Under 30 feet of river sediment and forest growth, She found a city, not a village, not a settlement. A city that housed tens of thousands of people 11,000 years ago. The pottery fragments tell the story. Decorated ceramics with complex geometric patterns. Fired at temperatures over 1,000 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough to melt copper. The kilns required advanced knowledge of airflow and fuel management. This level of ceramic technology wasn't supposed to exist in the Americas until 6,000 years later. But pottery was just the beginning. Roosevelt's team uncovered massive earthen platforms, each one the size of a city block and 30 feet high. These aren't natural mounds. Ground-penetrating radar shows internal structure, layers of different colored clay placed with purpose. Drainage channels cut into bedrock, stone-lined wells that still hold water after 11 millennia. The dates make archaeologists uncomfortable. Clovis culture in North America was just learning to chip stone points. Europe was still locked in the last ice age. Yet Amazon peoples were building monumental architecture and firing pottery that rivals modern ceramic art. Soil samples from Monte Alegre reveal something else impossible. The ancient inhabitants created terra preta, black earth so fertile it produces 3 times the crop yield of regular Amazon soil. This isn't natural soil formation. Chemical analysis shows it was engineered. Charcoal mixed with human and animal waste, ground pottery, and fish bones in precise ratios. Here's the number that breaks your brain. Monte Alegre's terra preta covers 43 square miles and averages 6 feet deep. That's over 4 billion cubic yards of engineered soil. It would take a modern city the size of Boston working full-time for 50 years to create that much fertile earth. The radiocarbon dates from Monte Alegre's deepest layers hit 11,200 years before present. That makes it older than the oldest known cities in Mesopotamia, older than agriculture in the Middle East, older than metalworking anywhere in the world. 300 miles south of Monte Alegre, the mystery changes shape. In the Tapajos River Valley, stone spheres sit in the forest like marbles dropped by giants. Perfect spheres. Some small enough to hold in your hands, others weighing over 15 tons. The local Munduruku people call them the tears of the gods, but they didn't make them. Neither did the Inca or the Maya. These spheres predate both civilizations by over 1,000 years. Geologist Alcides Carvalho cataloged over 300 stone spheres along a 100-mile stretch of the Tapajos. The largest measures 9 feet in diameter. The smallest are tennis ball sized, all of them perfectly round within tolerances that challenge modern stone workers. The stone is granite and basalt, materials that don't occur naturally in the Tapajos Basin. The nearest granite quarries lie 400 miles upstream, past rapids that would destroy any wooden vessel. Yet somehow ancient peoples transported 15-ton spheres through territory that still challenges modern logistics. The precision haunts experts. Modern laser measurement shows the largest spheres deviate from perfect roundness by less than 2 inches. Creating a 15-ton granite sphere that accurate requires tools that shouldn't have existed in pre-Columbian America. Diamond-tipped drills, precision measuring instruments, mechanical lifts for rotating the stone during carving, but the tools are gone. No workshops, no quarries. No evidence of the technology needed to create these objects. Just 300 stone spheres sitting in jungle that was supposed to be untouched wilderness. Some spheres sit in perfectly straight lines, running northeast to southwest. Others form triangles with sides measuring exactly 500 feet. The patterns suggest astronomical alignments, but with what? The constellations visible from the Amazon 2,500 years ago were different from today due to precession. Here's where it gets personal. In 1998, road construction near Itaituba uncovered a cache of 27 spheres buried under 8 feet of sediment. Carbon dating of organic material in the burial layer returned dates of 2,300 years before present. That puts sphere creation during the height of the Chevan culture in Peru, But these spheres show no Chavan influence. The Itaituba spheres were arranged in a spiral pattern, smallest to largest, with the 15-ton giant at the center. Removing them required cranes and flatbed trucks. Yet ancient peoples positioned them with millimeter precision using tools that have vanished completely from the archaeological record. 400 miles northwest of the stone spheres, another mystery cuts through the forest in straight lines. The Inca road system is famous for engineering perfection, but these roads predate the Inca by 800 years. Satellite imagery revealed them in 2009. Straight lines cutting through Amazon jungle from the foothills of the Andes to the Atlantic coast. Not game trails, not river courses, engineered roads running in sections up to 150 miles without deviation. The Trans-Amazonian Highway, built with modern earth-moving equipment, curves around obstacles and follows river valleys. These ancient roads go straight through swamps, over ridges, and across rivers that would stop modern construction. Ground surveys confirmed what satellites suggested: raised causeways 8 to 12 feet wide, elevated above flood level on engineered foundations, stone-paved sections in wet areas, wooden bridges anchored to bedrock where roads cross major rivers. The Beni River Road runs 180 miles from Riberalta in Bolivia to the Brazilian border. Carbon dating of wooden bridge supports gives dates between 1,200 and 800 years before present. That's 3 centuries before the Inca Empire existed. But here's what makes engineers lose sleep. The road maintains a gradient of less than 2% for its entire length. Modern highways struggle to achieve that level of precision over 20-mile sections. This road does it for nearly 200 miles through terrain that includes mountains, swamps, and river valleys. The engineering required surveying teams with advanced mathematical knowledge. They needed to calculate sight lines across distances that exceed the horizon. They needed to plan drainage for seasonal floods that vary by 30 feet in elevation. They needed to quarry stone and transport it to construction sites that were weeks of travel from any known population center. Yet no major settlements exist along these roads. No cities, no monuments. No evidence of the massive workforce needed to build them. The roads appear to connect nothing to nowhere, built by people who left no other trace of their existence. Geologist Alcho Ranzi, the same researcher who discovered the Acre geoglyphs, mapped over 400 miles of ancient roads using satellite data combined with ground survey. The roads form a network covering an area larger than Texas, all built between 1,500 and 800 years ago. The most disturbing discovery came in 2012. LiDAR scanning of the Upper Purus River revealed road sections hidden under triple canopy rainforest. These roads were built and abandoned before the forest grew back. They're older than the trees that hide them, which brings us to the darkest mystery of all. Why did they leave? Soil cores from across the Amazon tell the same story. Between 1,000 and 500 years ago, something happened. Massive population centers disappeared. Road networks were abandoned. Geoglyph construction stopped abruptly. It wasn't Spanish conquest. Columbus was still 500 years in the future. It wasn't climate change. Ice cores show stable conditions throughout the abandonment period. It wasn't warfare, no mass graves, no burned settlements, no evidence of conflict. People just left. Cities that housed millions fell silent. Roads that took centuries to build grew over with jungle. Geoglyphs that marked territory for a millennium were forgotten by the next generation. The numbers tell the story in reverse. At peak occupation around 1,000 years ago, the Amazon basin supported an estimated 20 million people. By the time the first Spanish explorers arrived, the population had crashed to under 2 million. Where did 18 million people go? Disease is the obvious answer, but it doesn't fit the timeline. The great epidemics that devastated Native American populations came with European contact after 1500 CE. The Amazon abandonment happened 5 centuries earlier. Some researchers propose the abandonment was voluntary. Climate data shows a period of increased flooding between 1,200 and 800 years ago. Maybe the road builders and geoglyph makers decided their engineered landscape was no longer sustainable. But voluntary abandonment doesn't explain the completeness of the departure. Cities don't just empty overnight. Technologies don't vanish without leaving instruction manuals or broken tools. Oral traditions don't disappear unless something catastrophic breaks the chain of cultural transmission. The final mystery lies buried in terra preta soil throughout the Amazon. Chemical analysis reveals something that shouldn't exist. Biochar concentrations that require pyrolysis at temperatures exceeding 800 degrees Celsius. That's industrial-scale production of engineered carbon. Modern biochar production uses sophisticated kilns with computer-controlled airflow to achieve these temperatures. Ancient Amazonians accomplished the same results using technology that left no archaeological signature, no kilns, no furnaces, no evidence of the infrastructure needed for large-scale pyrolysis. Yet the biochar is there, billions of tons of it mixed into terra preta across an area covering 60,000 square miles. It represents the largest carbon sequestration project in human history, completed by people who officially didn't have the technology to attempt it. In 2019, archaeologist Michael Heckenberger published soil analysis from the upper Xingu River that changed everything. The terra preta in this region contains microscopic particles of metallic glass. These particles only form at temperatures exceeding 1,500 degrees Celsius. No known pre-Columbian technology could achieve those temperatures, not wood fires, not charcoal kilns. Not even modern blacksmith forges without forced air reach 1,500 degrees. Yet the particles exist in soil layers carbon dated to over 1,000 years old. The implications shatter conventional archaeology. Either ancient Amazonians developed metallurgical technology that surpassed medieval Europe, or something else entirely happened here. Something that required industrial-level heat production and left no trace except microscopic glass in forgotten soil. The biochar mystery deepens when you examine the production scale. Conservative estimates put Amazon terra preta at over 100 million tons of engineered soil. That carbon content required burning an estimated 50 million tons of organic matter under controlled conditions. For comparison, the entire Amazon rainforest burns approximately 10 million tons of biomass annually in modern wildfires. Ancient Amazonians were processing 5 times the carbon of today's forest fires every single year for over a millennium. Where did they get that much organic material? How did they control burns across thousands of square miles without destroying the forests they lived in? Soil physicist Johannes Lehmann from Cornell University analyzed terra preta samples from 47 sites across the Amazon basin. The results defy explanation. Biochar concentrations remain consistent across sites separated by over 1,000 miles. Same particle size distribution, same chemical signatures, same carbon ratios. This suggests centralized production using standardized methods, but no production centers exist. No massive kiln complexes, no industrial zones that could process millions of tons of organic matter annually for centuries. The technology required would leave archaeological signatures that simply aren't there. Even stranger, the biochar shows signs of nanotechnology. Electron microscopy reveals carbon particles with engineered surface structures that increase soil absorption by 300%. These nanoscale modifications require temperatures and pressures that challenge modern materials science. Dr. William Woods from the University of Kansas spent 20 years studying terra preta formation. His analysis of carbon isotope ratios reveals something impossible. The biochar wasn't created from local vegetation. Isotope signatures match plants from the Andes Mountains, over 1,000 miles from the Terra Preta sites. That means ancient Amazonians transported massive quantities of mountain vegetation to lowland production sites, processed it into engineered carbon, then distributed the biochar across an area the size of France. The logistics required would challenge modern transportation networks, but the mountain connection runs deeper than soil science. Recent excavations in the Mamirawa region uncovered stone tools made from obsidian that doesn't exist anywhere in the Amazon basin. Spectrographic analysis identifies the source as volcanic deposits in the Ecuadorian Andes, 1,200 miles northwest through terrain that includes the world's most dangerous whitewater rapids. The obsidian tools aren't crude implements. These are precision instruments with edges sharper than modern surgical steel. Some blades measure less than 20 atoms thick at the cutting edge. Creating obsidian tools with this level of precision requires knapping techniques that weren't supposed to exist in the Americas until European contact. Carbon dating of organic residue on the obsidian tools returns dates of 4,000 years before present. That pushes advanced toolmaking in the Amazon back another millennium, into a period when old world civilizations were just learning to work bronze. The tool distribution patterns reveal organized trade networks spanning the continent. Identical obsidian blade styles appear at sites from the Andes foothills to the Amazon Delta, a distance of over 2,000 miles. This level of technological standardization requires communication systems and quality control methods that left no trace in the archaeological record. But obsidian was just one component of a continental exchange network. Ceramic analysis from Amazon sites reveals pottery tempered with crushed seashells from the Pacific coast. Gold work showing techniques developed in Colombian highlands. Copper tools made from ore that originated in Bolivian mines. The numbers are staggering. Over 15,000 ceramic fragments analyzed from Amazon sites contain non-local materials. That represents millions of tons of raw materials transported across South America using methods that remain completely unknown. Dr. Clark Erickson from the University of Pennsylvania mapped ancient transportation routes using satellite imagery combined with ground surveys. His team identified over 8,000 miles of raised roads, canals, and causeways connecting Amazon settlements to highland regions. These aren't simple footpaths. The roads average 12 feet in width and maintain consistent grades across terrain that varies in elevation by over 3,000 feet. Canal systems include locks and water management features that wouldn't be seen again until medieval Europe. The engineering specifications boggle modern minds. Roads built through seasonal swampland rest on foundations of precisely placed stone that remain stable after 2 millennia. Canal locks carved from single granite blocks still function perfectly, despite centuries of abandonment. But the transportation infrastructure reveals something even more disturbing about the Amazon abandonment. Road construction stopped abruptly around 1,000 years ago. Not gradual decline, not partial completion of ongoing projects, full stop. Excavations along the Beni River Road system show construction crews abandoned work sites with tools still in place. Stone blocks cut and ready for installation still sit beside unfinished road sections. It's as if the workforce simply walked away in the middle of a workday, and the abandonment synchronization haunts archaeologists. Across an area larger than continental Europe, construction projects stopped within the same 50-year window. No evidence of catastrophe, no signs of invasion, no indication of resource depletion. Work just stopped. Recent archaeological surveys in the Llanos de Mojos region of Bolivia revealed the scale of what was abandoned. Over 6,000 square miles of engineered landscape. Raised fields arranged in geometric patterns. canal networks that required moving over 1 billion cubic yards of earth, fish weirs and water control systems that supported populations in the hundreds of thousands, all of it abandoned between 1,000 and 950 years ago. Carbon dating from multiple sites confirms the timeline. A civilization that took centuries to build disappeared in less than 2 generations. The Mojo's discoveries revealed another impossible: raised agricultural fields that maintain optimal soil moisture without irrigation. Soil analysis shows the fields regulate water content through engineered microbe colonies that weren't identified by modern science until 1998. These beneficial bacteria create soil conditions that increase crop yields by 400% while requiring no external fertilizers or pest control. The microbe colonies are genetically distinct from wild populations and show clear signs of selective breeding that shouldn't have been possible without knowledge of microbiology. Dr. William Bailey from Tulane University spent 15 years studying Amazon soil microbiology. His analysis of ancient agricultural sites reveals bacteria colonies that have been maintained in agricultural soil for over 2,000 years. These microbes don't survive in wild conditions. They require human management to maintain their engineered characteristics. That means ancient Amazonians didn't just discover beneficial soil bacteria, they selectively bred microorganisms to enhance agricultural production. This level of biological engineering requires understanding of genetics and microbiology that predates European scientific development by centuries. The microbe mystery extends beyond agriculture. Recent analysis of Terra Preta reveals engineered bacterial colonies that process heavy metals and neutralize soil toxins. These bacteria appear designed to clean contaminated soil, but there's no evidence of contamination in pre-Columbian Amazon sites. Why would ancient peoples develop bacteria to clean pollution that didn't exist? Unless they were preparing for contamination they knew was coming, or unless they were cleaning up contamination from activities that left no other archaeological trace. Recent excavations near the mouth of the Tapajos River uncovered the final piece of the puzzle. Under 40 feet of river sediment, archaeologists found a stone platform the size of a football field. Carbon dating of organic materials trapped in the stone mortar returned dates of 3,200 years before present. The platform isn't built of local stone. Petrographic analysis identifies the building material as andesite from the Andes Mountains, over 1,000 miles to the west. Each block weighs between 5 and 20 tons. The platform contains an estimated 15,000 tons of mountain stone, transported across a continent without wheels, without large animals, without any known method of long-distance heavy transport. But here's the detail that keeps archaeologists awake at night. The andesite blocks fit together with joints so tight that a knife blade can't slip between them. This level of precision stonework rivals the best Inca construction, but predates Inca civilization by over 2,000 years. Ground-penetrating radar reveals the platform extends deep underground. What archaeologists initially thought was a single platform is actually the top level of a multi-story stone structure buried under millennia of river sediment. The buried complex covers over 20 acres and extends at least 6 stories below current ground level. Conservative estimates put the total stone content at over 100,000 tons of precisely cut andesite blocks, all transported from Andean quarries over 1,000 miles away. Recent excavations have uncovered chambers lined with sheets of beaten gold and walls covered in hieroglyphic writing that doesn't match any known pre-Columbian script. The writing system uses over 800 distinct symbols arranged in complex mathematical patterns that suggest advanced knowledge of astronomy and engineering. But the most disturbing discovery lies in the deepest chamber yet excavated. Stone carvings that depict technological devices that shouldn't exist in any pre-Columbian context, detailed representations of mechanical gears, hydraulic systems, and what appear to be electrical components complete with insulated wiring and connection points. The Amazon was never the green desert that early explorers described. It was a managed landscape supporting populations that dwarfed medieval Europe. They moved mountains of earth and stone. They created soil that modern agriculture can't match. They built transportation networks that put Roman roads to shame. They developed technologies that modern science is only beginning to understand. Then they vanished, leaving only questions carved in earth and stone. Questions that grow stranger with every new discovery buried under the green roof of the world's largest forest.